That's scary. Is it something bad? I just never what it takes a person to say,
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And attendance. We're going to do a roll call of attendance. Crystal, do you have the list or? Would you please? Robin? Nope.
Yeah.
Whoop.
Yes.
Wave.
Yep, she is. Ava?
Here.
Okay.
Here.
Elaine?
She is here, just on mute.
Okay, she's on mute, but she's here.
Now I'm not.
She's here. Steve? You have Steve on, Chris?
Yeah.
Here. He's here.
Patrick Milligan.
Patrick's not going to be here.
Lynn Willett.
Here.
Joel Pike.
Here.
Andrew Sylvester.
Andrew? Nope.
Okay.
All set? TJ, is there any comments? Since you're right there, sir. Okay. Any board member comments? Okay, seeing none. Just kind of some thoughts on this process today. This is a proposed budget. Each section of the budget will be presented by different people and board members. I just ask that you wait until their presentation is done before, if you have any questions. And just be mindful that it's possible that some questions can be answered tonight. Some may be things that they is going to have to go back and look up and give to us next week. So, starting out, system administration, Scott.
First, I just want to give a few overall numbers that I had sent out earlier and made a couple corrections on. The proposed budget's up $1,420,023.93. I believe that's a 6.7% increase. Special ed is up 16%. 75.29% of our budget is salary and wages. Our salaries rose $307,129.65, or 2.63% from last year. If the budget is passed, our benefits will have risen $649,024.40, or 15.93% from last year. In this budget, we have put the increase for Anthem at 13%. We usually don't find that out officially until April or a little bit later. Remember, that includes the increase, plus we want to plan for lane changes. Liability insurance, we put in for 20% increase. Electricity rates, as everybody's seen from the new CMP bill, has gone up tremendously. At the moment, we're kind of lucky in that our energy charges are locked in. For our large users, it's locked in until FY26. Our large users are our school buildings, including the superintendent's office. All other buildings in the district are considered small users, and they are good. That rate is good until FY24. Some possible referendum votes to go along with the warrant articles. We need to update our MOU with Fayette, so we would need an article to vote on continuing to accept Fayette tuition students. I'd like to request, after we discuss it with the board, to establish a capital reserve for utilities to help with volatility in the next couple of years, and use $100,000 from our undesignated carryover. I'd also like to put on with board approval a separate article outside of the budget requesting $45,000 to be put toward the RSU73 tennis courts. This was done a few years ago separately when we asked for bleachers and also for an elevator. And then the last thing we have to put on our referendum is an article to see if we want to continue the way we're doing it, district budget meeting and referendum to pass our budget. This gets voted on once every 3 years. A couple other things I wanted to point out, because we always talk about the size of businesses and companies in the area. We have 303 staff people, not counting coaches and subs in our district. That definitely puts us as number 2 and pretty close to being number 1 size-wise for a business or corporation in this area. And out of those 303 people, 163 of those people are residents of our 3 towns. So we're pretty lucky to have people close by, but it also means a lot when we're talking budget items that these people work in our district. Some of you may have heard Jay was approved for sudden and severe status because of the drop in town evaluation due to Pixel and their circumstances. We did receive a great deal more money from the state because of this. However, because of the drastic change in evaluation, it also changes what each town receives and what each town pays. We will go over it with you at our next meeting and what that exactly looks like based on the budget that we are presenting. Of course, any changes in this budget would change those numbers. We just got the new evaluation numbers, so Crystal and I are going to sit down again and continue to look those over. We didn't want to just throw them at you tonight. For system administration. Under the overall budget, the full proposed budget, under page 1, line 5, liability insurance is up 20%, so you will see an increase of $5,400 and $5,483.60. Superintendent salary, that's line 8 of page 1. Salary is up 3.3% or an increase of $3,685. Superintendent's benefits, line 10, page 1. There's a lane change. We talk about lane changes every year in Anthem, and when this is actually a good example for everybody to see because I'm the only one on that line. A lot of times we'll talk about lane changes in the areas of teachers, and if there's 40 teachers in the building, you don't get to see how that really necessarily works. The lane changes, my wife isn't working right now, so she was an added spouse to Anthem. Because of the 13% increase and then going full family, that's an increase of $10,513. So sometimes when we talk about putting 13% in for Anthem, and maybe Anthem only goes up 6 or 7, we like to have that sitting in there because we do have lane changes throughout the year. Sometimes to our advantage, they go less, but more often than not, they go more. And it can be very dangerous if you don't have that money sitting in there and they make that change in that school year, you could be short on money. And then business office benefit support. Lane change in this particular case went the other direction, a decrease of $6,069. Those are the major changes in system administration, which went up 3.3% in this proposed budget.
Any questions on system administration?
Just a question, when you talk about the referendum for the Fayette students,
Yep.
how many Fayette students do we currently have?
I'll have to look that up, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah, I can get that number for you next time.
And do they also in Fayette have to have a referendum?
They have to vote on their MOU as well,
Okay.
say that they'll send them here. They also will have one, I believe, with Winthrop and 38 as well. So that they have a choice to send their 6th through 12th graders to any of those 3 schools that are willing to accept them. And we get we are in the MOU, we are allowed to charge what the highest amount is by the state for a tuition student.
And just another comment, I think the school district is the highest employer in the area.
I think we are now.
I think they are. Yeah.
Any other questions? Respond, primary school, Michael.
Good evening. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
All right, perfect. So this is my first budget proposal, so go easy on me. I'll start with, I only have a few that are kind of some quote unquote major ones. We'll start on page 5, line 115. And this is a line that was added. It's professional development travel. This here is, I had a handful of teachers that were looking to do some conferences this next year to try to advance their learning and to kind of count towards their recertification. So I had to add this line in. So that's why it's an impact of $1,000. So it's a $1,000 increase. Next one is on page 6, line 125. And this one here is, it's labeled under contracted professionals. This is an added line also this year. And this is for our pre-K program. How this works is with the Promise Early Education Centers that we have in our building. One of the requirements in order to keep it in our building is that we were required to pick up this $25,000, which goes towards the cost of the teacher that's in there and the ed tech. So for the price of $25,000, we get an added teacher as well as an added ed tech. So it actually works out really good in our favor. And the last one that I have is actually going to take you down to page 15. That kind of falls under my building, line 342. And it's actually a decrease. This here is a decrease in the cost of fuel for field trips. So it's a $1,500 decrease. Once I put all the field trip requests in, and hopefully we can do them next year, start those back up, Once I put all the requests in, it came out that we were actually $1,500 less on the cost of fuel, because they're really close field trips, and not, we don't have to travel very far. And I also included, I believe you should have in front of you too, my class sizes from this year, and then my projections for next year. If you look at all of our classes across the lines, our class sizes are projected to stay the same. We have roughly, like in our K2 classrooms, we're roughly 16-to-1 ratio. We're projecting that to stay the same for next year. Our TK classrooms, we're on like that 9-to-1 ratio. And our pre-K is the only one that could possibly go up. But that also is kind of impacted on COVID because of the spacing that they can have in their classroom right now. They can only have 12 kids in their classroom right now, and they can have a max of 16. So that there could jump up quite a bit next year, which would ideally would be excellent if it did. But typically they're right around 70 to 80, but they can have a max of 96. And that kind of wraps up my big changes. And I can take questions on any of it.
Any questions for Michael? Doug?
I don't have that sheet with the numbers. Do we have it? I don't see it in the email or here for the enrollment.
Not in here.
Did he? Did you get it, Bob?
I think so.
Okay, I'll check again. Thanks, Michael.
Yep. Thank you.
Elaine?
Elaine?
Are you comfortable with the 16-to-1? I know that especially grades 2 right now through 5, this is where we can have the biggest input and bang for our buck in terms of making improvements and really making a difference for the kids for what they lost. Are you okay with those numbers? Are you comfortable?
If speaking personally, yes, I think that's a good number. If we were pushing that 20-to-1 number, I would be very hesitant with that. I've been a teacher in early elementary classrooms that have been right around 16-to-1. You can do a lot there when you get to that 20-to-1, 25-to-1, where I've been before. It doesn't work as like you think it would.
Right.
I think you can be a highly effective teacher in that 16-to-1 ratio, 15-to-1.
As long as you're comfortable at those numbers. I know we have some making up to do and some lifting to do, and hopefully we have enough people in place with RTI and Title I to be able to make those changes and learn from our NUIAs and fill in those gaps. So just want to be sure you're comfortable, because I'll be your biggest supporter on class size and having
Yeah.
it
No, I know you
appropriate.
will. Yeah, no, I think like I said, that 15-to-1, 16-to-1, you can do a lot with those numbers. I mean, obviously, ideally, if you were as close as you can get in a small group would be
Right.
perfect, but I feel like there's a very reasonable number.
As long as you're comfortable and your staff is comfortable. Thank you, Michael.
You're welcome.
Michael, I'm finding the elementary numbers, but I don't see the primary. So could you make sure you send those out to the board, please?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
Michael did send them. I don't know why you didn't get it.
Any other questions for Michael? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Spruce Mountain Elementary School, Patrick.
Good evening. So we'll go over the budget presentation. I only have 2 lines that are increasing. If you look at page 3, line 58, it's the office general supplies. That's increasing. I'm asking for $3,000 more. Currently, I have $138.48 left in that line, and we're in February. It comes down to just increases costs across the board. I'm looking for a $1,500 increase for paper, and that's copy paper, colored paper, bulletin board paper. just one of the examples I have is the $400 increase in just the homework folders we use. We paid $1.25 last year. Next year, they're $2.40. So that's a $400 increase just for folders. Also, $600 for the arrival and dismissal program that we've been trying to put into place so we can keep better track of where the kids are, who's picking them up. It takes pictures. And then $500 for just a general increase in staples, you know, anything we need for the office, the teachers, tape dispensers, all of that stuff is increased across the board. So I am asking for a $3,000 increase in that line. The other line I'm asking for an increase in is page 6, line 140, instructional supplies, 3rd and 4th grade teachers. We're looking at providing kids with, you know, the best things that we can to help them focus, you know, be able to move in the classroom, but for teachers to be able to teach at the same time. So between 3rd and 4th grade, we're asking for $2,500 for wobble chairs and standing desks. Also, if you've been at the elementary, you know that we are crammed for space. So our RTI room, we have, you know, Nancy in there doing lessons and working with kids. And then we have Kim and Liz also sharing that room who work with some of our behavior kids. So we're looking for a divider to put up there just, you know, to kind of, you know, create 2 separate spaces so that we can have, you know, those people sharing those spaces. That's $358. I've been replacing desks and chairs because a lot of the desks and chairs at the elementary are old and falling apart. So I'm looking for a $930 increase to buy some tables and chairs. And then Allied Arts was roughly a $127 increase, which comes out to be $3,915. If you take a look at my enrollment numbers, so next year it looks like we're going to average about 15 kids in the 3rd grade classrooms, 17 kids in the 4th grade classrooms, and 19 kids in the 5th grade classrooms. It's also going to require me to move a 4th grade teacher down to 3rd because of the increased number of kids coming into 3rd grade over what we have this year, and the fact that the 4th grade numbers are going to decrease. So I will have to move a teacher. Questions?
Any questions for Pat? Elaine?
I'm assuming that these are your broad number assignments for each classroom, but from those, you're also going to have students going to the resource room to receive their math and reading. You're also going to be having some students that are assigned but are in the life skills program. So that will decrease those numbers per teacher. So that's good because, as I said earlier, we've got to do all we can at this level to try to make up some skills that we've missed over time. And this is the best way to do it.
Well, and the other thing is so Scott's allowed for like 3rd grade, we've been doing the targeted instruction for math where we've been mixing the kids. So that also lets us, you know, take those kids that have the most need and have our title math people target them. We're going to start that up with 5th grade here shortly. So we'll be able to target those resources better.
Great.
So it should be really good numbers next year to get.
And we're doing the same in 4th?
We're going to start in 4th. I actually was supposed to meet with 4th tomorrow, but we'll see. Just to go over our plan for getting that up and running.
That's great. That's exactly what's called for, and I applaud it. Thank you, Pat.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Pat?
Thank you.
Thank you. Spruce Mountain Middle School, Carrie.
Sorry about that. Hi, everyone. Cool. All right. So the first topic I want to look at is on page 7 of the proposed budget, and it's under the Spruce Mountain Middle School regular instruction line. And you'll see that we have a $17,500 increase. Don't panic. We have 4 teachers who are currently working on their master's degrees, and that's very exciting. They're furthering their education and really sharpening their skill as educators. And per their teacher contract, the district will pay for up to 3 courses per year, with the understanding that they are enrolled in an advanced degree program. And so this reflects that increase. Also on page 7, same line, general supplies, I increased that by $1,000 to account for the increase in costs of things like paper, glue, oak tags, staples, all of that that we purchase for the use in the entire school. And earlier this school year, we hired an RTI teacher, and she wasn't factored into the budget for this year. So by increasing, that takes into account her classroom needs as well. Under middle school athletics, page 17, I asked for an equipment line to be added. And I'm asking for $2,000 for that. Several years ago, we had a portable scoreboard, and it was old, it stopped working, it's too outdated to be repaired. So Mr. Collins has been pricing them out, and the ones that would meet our needs run between $1,700 and $2,000. And then under middle school sports trips, also page 17, Mr. Schenk, before he left our district, advised me to add $1,500 in fuel for costs for next year. I think you should have a page where I just broke down classroom budgets. And pretty much every content teacher has $500 to meet their classroom needs, with the exception of my science teachers, because they purchase materials for labs and lots of consumables. They have around $1,000 for their classroom budget. And then enrollment by grade level. Right now we have a pretty small 6th grade group. We've got 84 kids. 7th grade is 135 and 8th grade is 105. So our total, we registered another new kiddo earlier in the week. We have 324 students. And that breaks down to approximately 21 students per classroom at grade 6, 22.5 at grade 7, and 17.5 at grade 8. Next year, though, Mr. St. Clair is sending up a really large group of incoming 6th graders. And so we're looking at having to do a little bit of shifting with our communities. We've got currently 1 6th grade community and 3 7th, 8th grade communities. And in order to meet the needs of the students, we will likely need to have 1 6th grade community, 1 8th grade community, and then a 7th, 8th, and a 6th, 7th to spread out the large bubble of students at grade 6 and grade 8. That's not set in stone, but it's what I'm looking at as a way of offsetting some of those numbers, keeping class sizes down, and making sure students are getting their needs met. That's all I've got.
Any questions for Carrie? Craig, the scoreboard, is that also a portable? Is that what you're?
It'll be a portable scoreboard. It'll be used for multiple athletic events, the baseball, field hockey, soccer. So it'll be multiple use scoreboard.
I'm assuming remote
All wireless
Yep.
control. So it's going to be.
Yeah, I had gotten one previously and they're great.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
Yep.
Spruce Mountain High School, TJ.
Good evening, everyone. If you could turn to page 4. Number 98, which is high school administration dues and fees. There is a decrease of $4,500. That has mainly due to just looking at what we have spent over the past couple of years with the COVID stuff and what we don't need to spend for this year coming. So it's roughly that much. And page 9. Go to page 9 for number 191. This is for Spruce Mountain High School regular instruction contracted services. We have decreased it to by $2,440. And those are our AP exams, our JMG, band, There's a bunch of different things that fall underneath that line, which, you know, after looking at our budget, that's where we need it to be for this year coming. Also on page 9 for regular instruction, this is for our equipment. We are asking for an increase of $4,000. And that is, we have 2 classrooms, 4 desks and chairs, mainly in the social studies. And then we have in our automotives area, we'd like to have a tire mounting machine and also a tire balancing machine. We have reinvented the program at Spruce Mountain High School for metal fab and automotive fab. And we're in the middle of doing quite a bit of that stuff right now. And we have a very motivated teacher that is putting that together. If you look at page 11, number 234, this is for Spruce Mountain High School guidance contracted services. We are asking for an increase of $3,000. That has to do with Naviance. It's something we haven't had in the past year, but we didn't have a guidance department that was able to do the amount of work that it's going to need to be done for next year to put forth that new program. And that program is dedicated to, it's really a one-stop shop for information and organization for our students, especially for students that are going on to post-secondary or even career clusters and that stuff. Page 17, that is number 376. That is for dues and fees for academics. We are decreased to down $2,000, and that is due to the Smart Robotics program is teaming up with Foster Tech Center, and the competitions that they've had or what we'll be doing is not going to cost us the $2,000 that it would normally cost. We are willing to help out, though, when it comes to some of the competitions that are happening, that we will be helping out with the dues and fees associated with the program. Also, for page 17, there are a couple of items in there, 377 as well as 380. They are due to high school field trips, and we are decreasing that by $5,003. Now we get into the athletic piece. You will see an increase for the coaches' stipends. That's on page 18, number 381. Then this is $18,000, $18,588. It has gone up, and that is due to the contract point system and also with the athletic director stipend that has been contracted. Also on page 18, and this is my last one, is contracted services. We are increasing that by $4,800, and the increase is due to added esports, which is a huge hit at Spruce Mountain High School, just so you all know, and also the internet access at the fields, because we are live streaming all of our events now. So that's what we have.
Any questions for TJ? Good.
For the stipends, can you go over that contractor point system or the contract point system? I'm not aware of that.
Yeah.
It's based on the base salary. It's a percentage based on the base salary. So when the base salary rises, the amount per each point will rise a little bit as well. That's been in the contract for a while, but see, now that the base salary next year is 40,000, your basic point is around $400 per point instead of $37.50 per point. I mean, yeah, $375 per point.
The base salary of what?
Base salary
Of
of
a
the
teacher.
teacher's schedule. Yep.
Thank you.
And then points are based on number of games, number of practices, length of season, how many athletes are involved, and number of years experience. And if you do so many things, it goes up a couple points here and there. So.
And also, if you have a little chance, you can look at all my classes that we offer, and there's quite a document there to take a look at. We do offer quite a bit for a small school, and our enrollments in them are are right on tack, right where they should be. So, correct.
Lynn?
I had a question on page 11, line 234, $3,000 for contracted services in the guidance department.
Mhm.
I don't fully understand what that is and don't need to at this point. It caused me to think that we changed a position in the guidance department. Will the addition of these contracted services work within the staffing that we currently have at the high school guidance department?
That's a great question. And yes, it's really a software that they're going to be using, the $3,000 for our social worker and academic advisor and our guidance counselor to work with students and to keep track of where their where all their documents for the school. And
Okay.
yep,
Okay, thank you.
no problem. Thank you.
Anyone else for TJ? Phoebe?
Oh, Phoebe.
Hi, TJ.
Hey.
Just a quick question on, lost my line, hang on a second. For the equipment, I see that on page 18, it's line 389. Originally, we had it at 5,000. I see what the actual is so far this year. The budget was again 5,000, actual $0. And I see the proposed budget cuts that in half to $2,500.
Let me go grab my book. It's back there. What number was that again?
Oh, that was
385,
389.
389, yep.
389 for equipment. Okay. I don't have a great answer for that right now. I can get that to you though, Mr. Keller. If he can.
Yeah, sorry, I don't mean to put you on the spot.
And you can come back next time if you need to.
Yeah.
You know, good.
Down 2,500.
Yeah.
The question
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
Something's probably.
She's just
happened.
making sure.
Right, so when COVID hit last year, the Maine Principals Association was asking us to have a dozen baseballs per game and a dozen softballs per game. And when you throw 18, when you get 14 games of each, at $100 a box, there's a lot of money going on in there. That's part of it. And then just some other things that I've been able to gain over the past couple of years. I bought an extra 6 basketballs. So being able to know that I have those already in stock, I don't have to purchase those for next year.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Thank you, TJ.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
Special Services, Sherry.
So when I wrote my little notes here, I went by the section of that was labeled special ed, so it's not, my page numbers will probably not be the same as yours. In the Spruce Mountain High School resource on, page 3, line 90, 95, and 99, it's the Spruce Mountain High School resource room budget. That has increased by a half a position that was shifted from grant. Last year it was paid for half with local fund, half with ESSA funds and half with local. So we've shifted that over to local. The education technician lines.
Sherry, just one second.
Sorry.
Good. Look under in your books under section 6, the gray tab. Most of us go by the front one, the overall budget, but I want to make sure that they're following properly. So.
Okay, thank you. Sure. It was page 3, line 90, 95, and 99. It's salary and benefits for resource room teacher that was shifted from the grant. Educational technicians in all buildings, the budget has shifted either plus or minus, but overall, I'm asking for $158,488.41 in salary increase. This was only includes 2 new ed techs for next year. These are all being funded within the budget. They've been added throughout the school year. As people have come and advocated for student needs, the positions have been added. So on page 4, line 120, the special ed administration tuition private K-8 line. That's an increase of $225,000. We currently are anticipating having 7 students in out-of-district placements as identified and recommended by the IEP process. On page 4, lines 123, 126, and 130, that's a total increase of $74,990.60 to add a part-time assistant special education director, 3 days per week. Page 5, lines 154 to 157. This is contracted psychological services. We are asking for an increase of $25,000 due to a change in providers, as well as an increase in referrals and assessment requests. Page 6, line 181. We have an increased rate of services for our contracted occupational therapist. And so we're asking for a total of $17,000. Then my last thing is on page 6, lines 202 to 203 is extended school year services, which is summer programming. We're anticipating offering compensatory services for some of our programs that have had to be hybrid this year. And so this is an increase of $13,000. The actual budget that was spent in FY22 is what we used as the basis for this. The teacher salaries were higher than anticipated, as well as the ed tech salaries, in order to provide that additional service.
Any questions for Sherry? Doug?
Just a question for us, Scott, you know, what's adding a position of the assistant special ed, just, you know, I just want more reasoning behind why we need to hire for that. I know she's got the hardest job of anyone up here, I believe, you know, because, you know, her budget has increased by 13%, like you've already noted, and there's some, I mean, it's a big piece of the puzzle. Can you just kind of dive into why we need to add that position?
And we also transitioned some things too. If you look through each buildings administration, you'll see that we subtracted some money out of the 504. Because remember, we had a 504 coordinator who we were paying 3/5 time. We've dropped that to 2/5 time, and we've budgeted 3/5 for the assistant special ed director. We may get to the point next year that we realize that we only need 4/5. We're trying to balance that out with all the things that are going on, but we don't want to put in only 4/5 when we end up finding out that we needed it full time. Just the number, every time our numbers go up, I mean, we're up over 300 kids who are receiving special ed services. That's IEP meetings, and it seems to be having bigger and bigger cases that we need to deal with. That's just the nature of special ed right now. And for one person to try to cover all that, we've seen that struggle in the last few years, and we're hoping that we can fix that. It's as big as a high school by its, you know, it's actually almost as many kids as there is in the middle school that we have just for special ed alone. So like Carrie at the middle school has help from Craig. Looking at special ed with all the paperwork, all the lawyers, everything that we have to deal with, it was time to see what we could do to tweak it. Instead of just throwing it all in, like I said, we adjusted the 504 positions as well, because we learned that we didn't need quite as much time, because the person who's been in the 504 position for us the last couple of years has done a great job streamlining that for us so that we don't need that third day.
In other schools of our size, do they have these positions already? I don't want to compare ourselves to different school systems, but, you know, I know we have a huge need for it, but it's a pretty big increase for us
Yeah,
here.
I would have to take, I'll be honest, I'd have to take a look at how many special ed students they have in their
Right.
district. I know if we take a look at districts around us that have more students overall, yes, they have assistants or a second special ed director, but I don't know, I'd have to look into seeing what their actual special ed numbers were.
Just, me personally, I'd like
Yep.
more information.
Yep.
I think there's probably a need there for it, but I want that validation, for sure.
Elaine?
I just want to thank Sherry for, you've jumped in at such a time of the year and now to have budget, and you've done a fabulous job. I'm hearing nothing but wonderful things. And I want to thank you for all the work you're doing for our kids.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you.
Transportation, Norma.
Obviously, no, I've only been here a couple weeks, so don't hold that against me. All right, transportation. I'm going by some notes that Jim left me. And that Crystal and Scott and everybody helped me with.
It's in the, for board members, it's in the back of the packet.
12, right? So salary positions, supervisor, clerical, bus drivers, monitors. The new hire director of transportation decreased by 2566.65. Clerical contractual increase of 2.5%, that impacted by 977.60. Bus drivers contractual increase of 2.8% was 33,083.50. And then the monitors contractual increase of $17.50 per hour, it was the impact of $1,536. The contracted professionals, Bailey Brothers contract is $63 per hour plus $6,240 to install an overhead door, drug testing, fire extinguishers, fire monitoring, towing. Added this year was the Zonar system on all the buses. Annual contract for Zonar is $13,000, 31 buses. Transferred money from repairs and maintenance to cover the $12,000 of that. The impact was $18,240. Repairs and maintenance, reduced rate because of 11 new buses in 2021 had a $17,000 left over. Moved $12,000 to contracted professionals for the Zonar system. And that was a $12,000 credit on the repairs and maintenance. Electricity, moved $4,000 from vehicle fuel to electricity account. Electricity is run around $10,000 plus per year. We've done many things to reduce this amount. It's still very high. I mean, we changed doors. They did some stuff around the windows and added some, turning the heat down in the garage, all kinds of different stuff. And that was the impact of $4,900. Heating in oil, propane, a $500 inflation cost, which went up to $1,000. Vehicle fuel, $4,000 in move to electricity due to we haven't used this fuel full amount and may also be able to reduce it again in 2023. And then last is equipment. The bus cameras cost up to $3,000 per system. We had bought 3 of them at $6,000 to replace the old systems. Cameras for new grant buses were received. We received 4 of them. We had to update safety booster seats, 10 of them due to outdated seats. The booster seats are only good for 6 years. And that was a $3,000 impact. And that's all I have for now.
Any questions for Norma? Doug?
I don't know if this question's for Ken or for you, Norma. Page 30, line 665, the increase of $6,000 for buildings and grounds. Can you talk to that a little bit?
Buildings and grounds.
I don't know, Ken, if that's to you or to Norma, so I don't know if you were gonna talk about that.
That would probably be Ken.
665 on page
665.
30
Page 30.
of the map.
Yeah, I don't see,
I know Jim had said that he was looking at the $6,000 increase was some tarring and where the dumpster are.
Is that still gonna happen?
that's all I have for note. Repairs, maintenance, grounds, $6,000 for paving. And I don't believe that's happened yet.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think I saw Elaine's hand maybe.
You did. I guess maybe this is more for Scott because this is an old issue. Are we tracking expenses for contracted professionals like Bailey Brothers as we had looked at when last year when we were asked to make a decision about continuing that contract? Are we keeping up with those numbers to see how we're doing versus if we'd had our own services?
That's difficult because we're not exactly sure what the cost would have been for our services. I mean, look, at the end of the year, we'll take a look at how much maintenance was needed. I mean, we would like to think it could be a little bit less overall simply because we have newer buses.
Yep.
Remember, it went up $3 per hour from last year to this year as well for hourly work as per mechanic.
Yep, I'm just looking at what we looked at and had to make a decision on last year versus that Jim brought to us about providing our own service, which J Schools had done in the past, our own mechanic versus the contracted services and how we were keeping up with that. And that's probably a discussion for after the year is over. Thank you.
Anyone else? Phoebe?
Not so much a question as thank you for jumping in. I know
Thank you.
budget meetings can be a little daunting, especially if it's your first rodeo jumping in on it. So you're doing good. You got this.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Elsa.
And somehow Tina got left off and I don't want her to feel bad. So Tina, would you come up and talk about 504, please? I kept looking at it and go, wait a minute, where's this?
All right, I know that everybody who's touched this, it's fallen over on them, so I'm just gonna leave it just like that. Let me just flip to my binder here. So I did the same as Sherry, and I'll admit that I told Sherry to do it this way. So I referred to school administration, not the whole packet, so my page numbers may be off. But I did write which section, these 3 lines that I'm going to refer to on my sheet. So the first section is school administration, the school administration section of the handout. So if you, I don't know what color tab that is, I'm sorry. Does anyone know? Mine's just a handout. 11. Thank you, tab 11.
Oh, I thought it was tab. Oh, yeah, it is. School.
Is it 11?
School administration is 11.
School administration, tab 11. Everybody find it? All right, so the part-time, Scott mentioned this already, so the part-time position, previously this position has been funded as a 3-day per week position, and so we have discussed reducing that down to 2 days per week. So you will see reductions, decreases in those lines for salary and benefits. And those are spread out over 4 schools because there are students in each school. So there are multiple lines and pages here, but in those sections, page 1, lines 2, 7, and 10. For the primary school, for the elementary school, it was page 1, lines 19, 24, and 27. For the middle school, it was page 1, lines 34. And then on page 2, lines 40 and 44. And then at the high school, page 2, lines 53, 57, and 61. Does anyone have a bingo? I've always wanted to do that. The second part of the 504 piece is the contracted services. This is reflected in the regular education section of your budget handouts. Anyone know that section offhand? Thank you, Phoebe. Section 5, Phoebe says. So this is there's no budgetary change in this. It's just the online data management. My budget's so small that I was able to encompass the entire thing. But there's no change in the contracted fees for that service that we contract for. All of the notes, minutes, 504 plans, parent communication, all gets logged in one electronic system and tracks that. And so there's no change in the fee structure for next year. So there's no budgetary impact there. But the cost is again broken out by building. So page 1, line 5, page 2, line 50, page 1, line 29, and page 3, line 81. And then the last piece there, you'll see an increase of $50 anticipated in supplies for FY23, and that's for supplies. Regular instruction section of the budget again, so you don't have to change your budget or your section. And that's just to purchase the supplies relative to the 504 compliance cases, the stamped envelopes, folders, labels, student-specific items if there's a particular need for a student. And the cost is again broken out by building. And those are reflected at the primary school on page 1, line 6, at the elementary school, page 1, line 30, at the middle school, page 2, line 51, and at the high school, page 2, line 82.
Any questions? Thank you.
You're welcome.
And you can see where her decrease is. I'll still look up those, get that information for you, Doug, the area schools, but it unfairly shows in special ed, looking at the assistant director, that it's 74th, it really goes up about 44 to 45,000 instead of the 74 to 75,000, because we've subtracted that money from the 504.
Facilities and maintenance, Ken.
Good evening. You're not going to see a whole lot of changes, I don't believe, this year in my budget. We was all kind of asked to keep it down as much as we could, so we did. The changes you're going to see, I will run through them. I believe it's on page 30, starting off with primary school. The biggest changes here, some of them really, I get the figures actually from Crystal because she does the benefits and custodians, but that's where some of the drastic changes came, and you'll see later on, I'll explain where one of the increases are that I think that we ought to look at. So there on the first page on primaries, you see that the salary increase of $4,277.60. That covers the 2.8% contracted increase that the employees have. And it also includes the 40-cent per hour shift differential for the people that work on the nights. The complete benefit package you see here has dropped. And there again, it was explained to me by Crystal, is the reason why people drop is because family insurances and things, if you change one or two of those, that's what you're going to see. When you see a difference between approximately $9,000 for a single and $20,000 for a family, it only takes one or two to make things drop, and this is where that came from. The contracted professionals, you see, has gone up $94. That's Siemens contracts. There's several contracts with that. Last year you might have passed out. There's like 10 or 12. It'd be Siemens. It'd be fire extinguishers inspections. It would be sprinkler systems inspections in the schools that have it. It would be, there's a whole variety of them. I can keep on going with you. It's a pest management that we have checked annually. I'm sorry, not annually, monthly, in all the cafeterias and things. And if we have any problems during the year, we have them come in, take care of that. It's for the schools that have elevators, it's elevated testing and state inspection. in the high school, middle school, it's bleacher inspections also. And then also generator inspections that we have quite a few generators. The fuel inspection, tank inspections have gone away. That's one thing that's gone out of it is we no longer have any underground fuel tanks. Everything's above ground now. Lift inspections, asbestos inspections, and the backflow inspections. So there's quite a variety of different contractors that we have on different contracts that come out of that section there. The water and sewer, that's pretty much just what it's kind of gone up. We take the monthly, we take all the total of what we've used for the year and divide it out, and we come up with a thing of how much we think we're going to come out with. And so it roughly is going to go up to about 525 for at least this year. This here at the primary school, that's basically for water testing that we have to do here. There's also in every school, I won't keep going through it, but in every school now we're going to do a lead and copper test. We're also going to have to do a PFAS test in this school. So just some added little increases that have gone up on that. Property insurance, as you've been told, we added 20% to all those. And the big question here, if you see on my thing here, I have a lot of question marks because we spoke to Scott and Crystal about this. We're pretty much sure we're going to be paying more money for heating fuel and propane this year. Contract runs out in May for heating oil. Our contract runs out in May for the propane. So we'll be going out for both of those bids as soon as anybody thinks we should. I did check on some of them right now, and right now they're astronomical. So I think we'd be not in a good position to go right now. We'd be adding an awful lot to each one. We will be keeping an eye on that, and I will send them out at least by April just to get a feel. Again, to get some set down pricing, and then you guys will have to make the choice of do we wait longer or do we accept what it is. But that's why we've had zero. That's why Scott asked if we could put a reserve in there for some increases. Like I said, I don't think you're going to see $1.96 for heating oil, and I don't think we're going to see $1.499 for propane again. But I guess it is possible. Go to page 31. You'll see the elementary. This is one where I did add in something that I think we need, and it's certainly up to you guys. But there again, you see the salary on the custodians is just what there is for the increase of the contract. The benefit package has gone up, which there again, there could be totally one new hiree that took a family plan that didn't have a family plan, that we didn't have a family plan last time. Contracted professionals here, there again, it's that part of the HVAC system, Siemens. We signed a contract that goes until June of 2025. So these kind of figures are going to be kind of set other than what they're going to have for a yearly increase. Water and sewer, same thing here. The reason why that's went up $12,000 is because this summer we had a good sized break at the elementary school on the main line that goes from the Route 4 to the elementary school. And we had to replace a very small section, but if you was around, the water was shooting out of the ground a significant amount. So by looking at the line, it's old and it's in very bad shape. So hopefully we'll get through this winter. We talked about this and said that really we should replace a line from Route 4 to the school. I got an estimate from Pistonway. I mean, certainly we can put these out for bids and see where they go, but for right now, an estimate would be around $12,000 to replace that entire line. Your repairs and maintenance grounds, that's pretty much for the small school, for this elementary, and you'll see it in the primary, these come out of this, is the back chips for the playgrounds, line paint for the parking spaces, the winter salt that we buy to put around the doors and entryways. And also this year here, we want to do some basin cleaning. We have 32 basins up in the J area in the high school, middle school, elementary school. That should be clean. And we have, I think it's 5 down here that we got to have cleaned up. So those are all added into the maintenance of the grounds. Property insurance, sadly, again, they had to increase by 20%. Communications, This is what we took again. We took what we have used for since July 1st up to now, and divided out a monthly thing, and it's approximately $662 a month we're spending for communications. So that's that increase there. And again, propane, it's kind of up in the air. We don't know. I mean, we have an idea how many gallons I'm going to use, which I have written down there, but we're not sure what the price is going to be. Page 32, you'll see the middle school. Same thing, again, the salaries for custodians, the same 2.8 and 40 cent per hour differential for nights. The benefits package, same thing. They take each person that I give them a list of the names and things and see what they're taking for a thing, and that's how they come up with the figure that's going to cost. And plus, they figured on a 13% increase in health insurance. Contracted professionals went down a little bit. And basically that's due to us having a new roof put on this year up there. So we're not going to be spending $3,400 in PM. We're going to spend $800 preventive maintenance. Property insurance, 20% increase. Communications, same thing. Take the average and divide it out. It comes up to be $726, 16 cents per month. So that's where that increase comes in. Propane, still the big question. And you see the amounts that we figure we're going to use. Hopefully we don't, but this year has been pretty cold, and I'm sure compared to last year, we've probably already used over. Electricity, same thing there. We take an average thing for the month and kind of come up with a figure that what we think, and we see how much we've used already. And if we've gone beyond what we feel we should use for a month, this is how we calculate, come up with this figure here. Because I mean, we're going through the coldest month right now. On page 32 and 33, you see high school. Basically same thing, salaries and benefits. Contract professionals, same thing. That list that I read off there is some of those things have gone up in this area. And also there's a little bit of a difference. There's like a $2,000 pay that comes out of the high school and middle school. They split it to do the inspection on the bleachers. That was one that on some of the other schools, they don't have bleachers, so we didn't have that, but on these schools, we do. Repairs, maintenance and grounds. Speaking with Scott and Crystal, we decided not to raise that up. Would I like to have raised it up? I certainly would have. I mean, I got some pricing from sports fields and recommendation of what we should do to these fields again. Have a list of those, and truly it comes to around $69,000 with everything that we would like to do to the fields, just to keep them up, whether it be fertilizer 3 times a year, whether it be add in some dressing, some loam, different things. But we just felt that we couldn't put that kind of money into an addition this year into this because we had so many other things to pay for. And so we're keeping it the same. There's certain things there that have to come out of that we have to do. We have to buy paint. We have to buy chalk for the lines. We have to buy certain things. So I always have that divided out. What we have to buy that we're going to take care of ourselves, and then the rest goes into sports fields coming up to fertilize and things. And there's a couple of things that we'll be doing ourselves that we like aerating and things. We'll be doing that ourselves this year. Property insurance, 20%, sad to say. Communications, same way. Come with what we figure would be a monthly average. And propane, same scenario there. You go to page 33 and 34, system-wide. The top one, you see the director's salary, 2.75 increase. Then the salary custodians and health insurance. Annual contract, the same thing. It's gone down a little bit, and that's due to we also had the roof renovation done on the central office. So that went there again. That went from $3,200 down to $800 for preventive maintenance. Trash removal. The increase here on the trash removal is for demolition. We actually still have a fairly decent, I believe, a fairly decent rate for trash removal. this year, we've had a little bit of problem getting them there sometimes, but overall, it's been great. And I don't know if anybody else would do it for the price that they do it for. I was looking, and this is just trivia stuff, but in 2012, 2018, we was paying $32,000, $428 a year. We got a contract now going from here to, I believe it's 2025, and we're going to be paying $28,752, which would break, if you break it down to get rid of our rubbish, it costs us $25,152.72. To get rid of recycling, it's $3,600. Price wise, I think that's pretty reasonable for all the stuff that we have. The increase of what we have there too, I always did have a little increase there for demolition, but we seem to have a lot more demolition in the last couple of years, just from things when we're cleaning out the schools, when we get rid of stuff, when we're rebuilding the carpets and the floors, we have to get rid of all the old carpeting stuff, so we have to get demolition bin. We're not allowed to bring it to the landfills here, so we have to have it hauled down to Narswell. That's the increase of the $2,000. Snow plowing, just an estimate. It will certainly go up. We'll put it out to bid again. This year we paid $96,500. I just did add $97,500, so add $1,000 to it in case you were not. Communications, same as before, just divide it out through the months. And heating oil, same scenario with any of the other buildings.
Any questions for Ken? Doug?
For the heating and oil, how long do we lock that price in for? Is it just year by year, year over year? Is that what we
Yes.
typically do, or is it per multi-year?
It's per year.
Per year,
No,
yeah,
yep.
big unknown. Now I see a bunch of the electrical lines. I'll give you some numbers here. Maybe on page 31, 695, and then also 715. It looks like we're over budget every year on those. Is there a way to ratchet those numbers down a little bit? Or what do you think about that? Because, for instance, the primary school, we have it budgeted for 30,000, but we're only using, 21,000. We'll probably use that again this year. How do you think all the electrical lines are working this year with all the different schools, I guess?
Well, I think we're going to see them. I certainly think we're going to see an increase in some of them.
Yeah.
I see an increase in the schools as it is. I think we've added a lot of air conditioning and things to when I say personal air conditioning into the primary school, into the middle school. I think we're going to see an increase as far as electrical going there. In the elementary school, we're certainly going to see, I believe we're going to see an increase there because of the module that we have and the module that they expect to get this summer again, another module. I think we'll see an increase there. And also at the high school, we just got a module there, and it isn't online yet. It should be online. Hopefully it's going to be online if we get the heat going during February vacation. So I think we're going to see increases in several areas that could be unexpected.
Okay. Thanks. Other than that, awesome report. I mean, it's very thorough. Thanks for all the work you do, Ken.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Ken. Debt service and other commitments. Scott, Crystal?
Debt service went up 9 cents. It's probably the best part of the budget. Remember, that's Siemens Phase 1, that's Siemens Phase 2. That also includes Spruce Mountain High School's dome and their regular roof. That's what we have for debt service in the district. Those 3 accounts. So, any questions?
Food service, Laura.
Hi, good evening. So I'm assuming you all have the budget presentation form in front of you. The first 3 lines are wages, benefits, and main retirement. So those are fixed, really. Nothing we can do about those. Line number 5, I am proposing that we increase the communication and technology budget by $500. We so far this year have been a little bit over on that line, and I think that with our new computer systems that we have, and as well as the phone that is provided for the department, I think that's what's driving that. Line number 9 is basically my food cost, and I anticipated that of going up at 5%. We all know that food has increased at higher than 5%, but I'm really very hopeful that we can hold the line firm on that. Line number 12, I'm proposing that we decrease the dues and fees by $2,000. I think that's very comfortable. So that's really it for expenditures. And then the biggest changes come on how we record our revenue. With all the changes that food service has undergone in the last 2 years, and this seamless summer option and we kind of had to really look at each of these revenue lines. So 14, I'm really proposing that our daily sales non-reimbursable, it's a lot more realistic to put that about $10,000, and that's going to be catering, that's going to be any outside services that we do, staff meals, anything like that. I am proposing that we will realize $28,000 for the summer food for reimbursement there. And I'm anticipating the revenue increasing for the school meals, the reimbursable of $665,513.31. And then with that, I am proposing that we ask each of the 3 towns for the $60,000 worth of support for the food service department. And that is a decrease of $20,000 for each town, which I think will be received very well for the communities. Overall, the increase to the budget is $21,415. So I really feel like it's holding its line pretty firm. So,
Any questions? Thank you, Laura.
thank you.
Adult education, Robin.
Hello, good evening. So I'll just preface the presentation with saying that there will be no local share increase in the adult education budget. But the presentation that or the spreadsheet that you see, really the only thing that's changing are the salaries and benefits for employees. So we had 2 major lane changes, as Scott calls it, and that's $15,608. And that's line 2 and 38. Line 6, last year, we put in $9,000 in the maintenance and repair line. That's because our refrigerator for the culinary program was just kind of limping along. So we have priced out a new unit. So you'll see an impact of a decrease of $4,000 going forward next year after we purchase that. Instructional salaries, line 29. You'll see that going up $7,775. And that's also because of the increase in the number of students that we're serving. And lastly, we hired a new administrative assistant and put more emphasis on marketing. So that new hire adjustment is $11,736.
Any questions for Robin? Thank you.
Thank you.
Curriculum and technology, Chris.
I just want to start out by reminding people that I've only been here 13 years, so if you could take it easy on me.
Nice try.
All right, so starting right on page 5. Oh, you guys along. I'll give you the line number 2. On the middle school textbooks line, which is 100, you'll see there's a slight increase there of $43,000. So the reason for that is this is the year that the middle school is adopting and updating to a new math program, which would start in the fall of 2020, this coming fall. Ed Gems Math program consists of textbooks for all the students and does include a 6-year online subscription for the students. So as long as the textbooks last and we don't need to do a lot of replacing on those, this is kind of it's almost like a one-time cost that you have to pay. And then it'll pretty much go for the next 6 years. And then it will be a minimal cost of any new textbooks that we have to buy or replace or things like that. So it's a bit of a big upfront cost, but it will carry the middle school math program for all 3 grades for the next 6 years. And then on page 12, under improvement of instruction, the dues and fees line, which is line 280, you'll see there was an increase of that. We did make some changes to the district dues that we pay for the Western Maine Collaborative that we're a part of, as well as iObservation, which is the observation system that all the administrators use in the district, as well as staff for looking at teaching and learning. So we placed those dues in there. They really hadn't had a place before, so we wanted to make sure that we had a place for those in the future to make sure that they were accounted for.
Just a clarification on the textbook line.
Yep.
In this book, it says 48,635.
Oh, so yes, the increase that I was mentioning, the 43,000 was only related to the middle school. So technically there's a raise of 48,000, but
This says textbooks, middle school, 48,000.
right, because what is the increase? What page is that on? Page. Oh, yep. Because I miscalculated the cost without the shipping. I forgot to add the shipping in. So it is actually, so this alone is 46,000, which does cause us to have an increase of 48,000 because we did go up a little bit in the actual text for the teachers as well, which would be mainly for their language arts teachers.
So the 48,000 is actually the correct amount.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's definitely correct. I just on my sheet, I forgot to add in the shipping.
Negotiate that one, come on.
Well, they tried to charge us for tax as well, so I will negotiate that one.
Any other questions for Chris?
And that was just curriculum.
Technology.
So technology is up next. We go to page 12. You'll notice right on the first line on page 12, line 256, that there's a pretty good increase on the salary repair tax. And that was previously, last year we had contracted with Exponet for a position. They actually hired a tech, and we reimbursed them, or we paid them a cost that we had agreed on. After doing that, we decided at the end of last year, so in July, we decided to not renew that contract with hiring a person, and decided to put that person under our own contract for this year. So that's why you see the increase under the salary repair techs. And you'll also see under the next one that I talk about, which is under contracted services, line 261, you'll see decrease there, which is directly related to that money shifting from contracted services to be under our actual salary line. And then also you'll notice on lines 26 on that same page, page 12, line 268 and 269 have increases. Those are really kind of those are really directed to grants. You know, over the last year, we were able to cover a lot of things under COVID, where software that staff was using, as well as being able to get one-to-one. You know, previously we weren't one-to-one K to 12. We were pretty much one-to-one 3 to 12. So we were able to do that through grants, but now that those grants are starting to end, some of that money is going to have to kind of move into the budget, especially to continue to use some of that software that the teachers have gotten used to using, and will continue to use even after COVID's over, as well as looking at trying to continue to replace, usually it's at the 9th grade level that we have to replace those laptops and then reuse the senior laptops at a different level. So.
Any questions on technology for Chris? Thank you. All other accounts, Scott.
The only thing under all other accounts is our contingency. We have $100,000 we put in contingency again. We don't know, at the moment, it looks like we haven't spent anything out of contingency, but we know we've added some positions in this year. So some of that money could come out by the end of the school year to pay for some of those things. But we also know when we talked about those special ed positions, et cetera, this year, we know we had quite a bit of time that we didn't have people in those positions. So there was money that was being saved in those areas. So we're hoping we don't have to touch contingency, and we hope in the future we don't have to touch contingency, but we don't want to go into a school year without having something there to cover us in case there's a unexpected cost, because you don't want to have to go back out to the taxpayers and ask for money to cover our budget.
Any questions for Scott? Lynn?
I'm not exactly sure how to ask this question, but I would like to know, in the past 2 years, we've received a great deal of money from the federal and state government. And a lot of that we have used for one-time purchases. We've bought storage containers and equipment and buses and so on. But there's also money there that we have used to pay for positions and for other ongoing costs. And I would like to know how many of the budgeted positions for next year began as COVID fund positions. Like, I know, as an example, we hired a nurse so that we could have a nurse in every building. And I remember specifically the conversation that we had at that time, that we would eventually, as a board, have to decide if we were going to continue, when that money is gone, to have 4 nurses in the system. And then tonight there was a position that was half funded through ESSER money. And now that's gone into the budget as being fully funded locally. So I just would like to know how much of that is present in this proposed budget.
There isn't anything else. We have 4 RTI teachers, we have 1 nurse, and we have a secretary that's being shared between the middle school and the elementary school. We still have money in the grants for that for 2 more school years. So we've
Okay.
not tried to move any of those into the regular budget at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Is this for just general questions? 8279, are we gonna get that tonight?
I will email that out to you tomorrow.
Great,
Okay.
appreciate that.
It's a little confusing, and next week we'll also have the revenue information. It's like I said, with the sudden and severe, it changed how, where the money's gonna go and who's gonna get what money back. But yeah, I will email all the board people tomorrow, the actual 279, so you guys to take a look at it. It's pretty hard to decipher, but if you have questions at the next meeting, Crystal and I will do our best to decipher
Thank you.
what those questions are, but also we'll then give you a separate sheet on what the local revenues are, what that means for each town, if the budget were to stay as proposed, what that cost is for each town, and also what the mill rate is at this point in time and what it could rise or lower in mill rate if this budget were to go through.
Thanks. And just one more question, if I can. I know Mike used to ask this question all the time, and I loved it. If we kept a flat budget, what would that mean for this district?
I can tell you right now, if we're talking 1.4 million, so you're talking probably, if we talk positions alone, we're talking 13 to 15 teaching positions in the district in order to make that up. It's amazing, even a teacher who might be only making 40 or 45,000, if they happen to have a full family, you got main PERS, you got all the other insurances, you got to cover. Almost every position is anywhere between $85,000 and $105,000 per position. You think when you just see the 40,000 or whatever, that's all it's going to be, but the easy estimate is around $100,000 per position if you include health insurance and main PERS and everything else we have to pay in for people.
Thanks. I think I'm just pulling up your notes, the majority of the increases are salary, benefits, and of course, special ed districts.
Yeah, and 75% of our budget is salaries and benefits.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And a loss of 13 positions would actually severely impact class size. I think Elaine might have something to say about that.
Yeah, I would.
Elaine?
And it would reduce our ability to help get kids back to where they need to be.
Absolutely. Lynn?
I found it helpful too in the cover information that Mr. Albert provided tonight to see the number of employees, the reference to the fact that we're the largest employer in the 3 towns. I think that that's all important information because we as a board need to be able to sell the budget to the community.
Yep. Anyone else? I do want to say, Brandy, your little one, not only incredibly cute, but very well behaved.
Thank you. He's writing all over my desk right now.
Oh my God, adorable.
So if anybody has questions, et cetera, that you looking through things that you can send to me and Laura, and we'll send it out to the building principals and managers, et cetera, so that we can give you more information at the next board meeting if you have other questions that you don't have tonight.
Our next meeting is February 10th at the elementary school. Not only is it budget, but it's also a regular meeting. And also on the 17th at the middle school, that again will be a budget and a regular meeting. Remember, we don't meet the next Thursday because of school vacation. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Doug, second by Phoebe. You want to do a roll? Phoebe. Roll call. You got Mike, yep.
Robin,
Yes.
Do we do the student as well? Do we do the student as well or no?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Ava,
Yes.
Lena,
Yes.
Yes.
Elaine,
Yes.
Brandy,
Thumbs up. Good.
I get that.
John. Stephen,
Yes.
Pat is not here, correct?
Correct.
Lynn,
Yes.
Joel,
Yes.
Phoebe. Andrew,
Not here.
not here, and Bob.
Yes.
Excuse me, but someone was here for a while saying that they made it, but they were on their deathbed. Was that Pat?
No, Pat's traveling. He was gonna leave
Okay,
tomorrow, but his wife convinced him that today was a better day to travel.
I saw that.
there was just something there but there was no name.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yep, not sure. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, folks. Good seeing you.
Good night.
Thanks for all the hard work, guys. This is huge. Appreciate it. Night.